Howdy, guys, and welcome to night 51 of the Overnight Feeds recaps for Big Brother Season 24. And welcome to Cliff Notes. All right, we had a couple of kind of boring days last night, Overnight Feeds. Not so much last night, a lot of conversations going on. So let's get right into it, or we'll never get it all covered. So, first of all, as a little bit of a refresher, we had on our live episode, two house guests went out the door. Both Jasmine and Joseph have gone off to join the jury house, join Indian jury house. So we're down to 8 house guests left in the house. Man, we're getting down to the end game so quickly at this point in time. So down to 8 house guests. Let's talk about what actually happened on the feeds themselves. Now, at the very end of the TV episode, we saw the two groups reunited. Insiders certainly not as happy to see that Joseph was out the door and Alyssa was still in the house, as opposed to the outsiders seeming just fine with the fact that Jasmine was headed to the jury house itself. Taylor and Brittany in particular had some pretty down looking faces when they realized that Joseph was gone. We'll see what the repercussions of that is going forward throughout the evening. All right, we've got Alyssa in the Jetsons' bedroom with Brittany, and then a little bit later, Michael comes in as well. Brittany is saying, look, Taylor's a little upset that Joseph is gone, understandably. But Michael is trying to explain why they got rid of Jasmine. He's saying, look, Jasmine was in all these different alliances, and we found out that she was lying to everyone about so much stuff, and therefore that's why she's gone. Here's the thing. They don't realize that Alyssa knows about the leftover alliance. It'd be easy to just say, well, Jasmine wasn't part of the alliance, so we sent her out the door. Now, they don't know that she knows about the leftovers, so they're spinning as though, all these alliances Jasmine was a part of, she got caught up in it, we found out. That's why we booted her, Alyssa. Well, again, Alyssa knows the true story about what's going on at this point in time. Alyssa is now giving her information on why they got rid of Joseph, and she's saying, look, now, first of all, he was up against Kyle, and I kind of wanted to keep Kyle, but she said I gave Joseph a chance to argue his position, and she said, but it became obvious that Joseph had been playing both sides, that he had been lying to me, and I just couldn't trust him enough to keep him in the house. So that's why we cut him loose from the outside. All right, we've got Turner and Monty in the kitchen playing Chinese checkers. Monty's happy to finally have the Chinese checkers back. The plan was for Turner to kind of kiss up to Monty a little bit and get information from him and do all that. So immediately Turner's playing the Chinese checkers with Monty, but really they're just talking, rehashing what happened over the past week. Turner is saying what they'd agreed to. The outsiders saying, look, there was zero privacy out there. Most of our one-on-ones were like 10 minutes long. You just really couldn't have any conversations out there. So I don't have a whole lot of information on everything because we just didn't have a chance to talk. But he says, but having said that, he said, Joseph towards the end was getting a little desperate and doing a lot of talking to a lot of different people. And he says, now, I don't think, Monty, that Joseph revealed anything to Alyssa or Terrence. And he's talking about the leftovers. He's saying, I don't think he revealed anything, but, he was talking to Terrence a lot. And so I just don't know for certain. This is part of the game plan for the outsiders. They want to try to pin the blame on Terrence and Alyssa knowing about the leftovers alliance. They want to blame it on Joseph by saying, Joseph just revealed it at the end. Kyle certainly doesn't want him to know that he's the one that spilled the beans. So Turner's kind of playing the game a little bit and making the suggestions that maybe Joseph said a little bit to Terrence, but don't know just yet. Turner does say that at this point in time, he's saying that he's really hoping a leftover wins HOH. He says, as long as one of his leftovers win, we should be good, Monty, right? Monty says, yeah, absolutely. He said, if I win HOH and I expect any other leftover wins it, we'll put up Terrence and Alyssa. If one of them wins veto, well, that's all right. Well, one of us may have to go up, but the other one will go home that's left on the block. So, yeah, it should be an easy week. Well, we'll see, Monty, about that. All right, about that point, the feeds do cut for we thought the HOH competition. It turns out that was the case. Took about 2 hours before the feeds came back, but once they did, we learned that we've got a new HOH winner, and the HOH winner for the week is Turner. Yeah, that'll be interesting. I wasn't sure if Turner was going to be gunning for this HOH because I feel like he's pretty safe in the house right now. But by winning HOH, he gets to control what happens probably for the rest of the game. This could be a big week. So Turner's going to have control over which group maybe he pledges loyalty to, who goes out the door, etc. Turner has won HOH. It turns out that the competition was the miniature stacking. We've seen it in the past couple of seasons, stacking little bitty cans or little bitty wine glasses. In this case, I think it was cans, it sounds like, using tweezers, and you have to stack them up in a pyramid type configuration, something like that. And apparently Monty did well. Apparently Kyle came close a couple times. It was like one can away from finishing up. Apparently Alyssa did horrible, was holding the tweezers at the very end, just didn't quite have it figured out. It sounds like Monty probably did as well. But at the end of the day, it's Turner's competition that he has won. And we'll see what he does with this new power that he has this week. Michael is telling Taylor that as long as, all right, so a different conversation. Michael's talking to Taylor saying, look, as long as Alyssa and Terrence are the initial nominations, we should be good. Even if one of them wins the veto, we'll put up the other one. Same thing Monty was telling Turner a little bit. So Michael's hoping, as long as there's no shenanigans going on, as long as Turner does what we all expect him to do and puts up Alyssa and Terrence, we're good. If that's not the case, then we'll have to deal with it. But as long as that happens, then no worries. All right, we've got Kyle talking to Michael and Brittany. And he said, man, I was so worried out there. I thought Joseph, all he had to do was flip one person and get Terrence on board and I could be gone. He's saying Joseph was very respectful. He didn't blow up while he's out there or anything. He's saying Joseph was very respectful, but he was talking to everyone a lot at the end. Again, planting that seed that Joseph may have spilled the beans on the leftover alliance. Brittany is then talking about her veto win, about counting sushi and guitar picks and all of that. Talking about that a little bit. So we've got that. Now, here's an interesting little thing. At one point, we've got Brittany and Turner and Michael talking. And I think this is right after Kyle had been, I think the storage room that he left. Turner's in there. Michael and Brittany are talking to him. Brittany mentions an article, and I think maybe she said Jasmine had said something about as well, that an article about Turner and his rug shop when he was younger, had blonde hair. And Turner says, yeah, that was me. How do you know about that? And Brittany says something like, I can't really tell you. And by that point, the feed's cut. I don't know what the story is behind this, but apparently someone in this house had a little prior knowledge about Turner and his rug shop before they came in the house. So we'll see if anything more comes of that going forward. But I thought that was kind of interesting. All right, we've got Michael and Turner and Brittany still in the storage room. Apparently, after Brittany is gone, Turner then tells Michael, says that you're safe this week. He tells him that. Now, is that true? There was talk about Michael and Brittany being the targets, especially Michael, from the outsiders. Now, suddenly, in the storage room, we hear Michael being told by Turner that, no, you're safe. So I don't know. Is he just saying that to keep Michael calm? Is that truly Turner's intentions? We don't know yet. A little bit later, Michael tells Turner, says, yeah, no, not just me, but he said you're safe as well. I didn't hear as much Brittany, but I'll take him as word on that apparently Turner saying Michael and Brittany are both safe this week. We'll see how that works out. All right, we've got Turner and Monty and Michael and Kyle all in the card bedroom talking just about being back in the house and all of that from Kyle and Turner's standpoint, and comparing notes with Monty and Michael. Turner saying winning the HOH is great, but the thing the best about it is another letter from his girlfriend, and he gets the HOH bed. You remember he's sleeping on a sleeping bag in the backyard. So yeah, I think Turner is looking forward to that nice comfy bed upstairs. Kyle is mentioning that talking about their own experiences in the backyard. Remember, Brittany was talking about her veto competition. Well, now Kyle's talking about theirs. If you recall, it was stacking a lot of styrofoam containers on top of each other. Apparently, there's a lot of behind the scenes things that took place that we never saw in that competition. Kyle's saying they had to keep stopping the competition because the wind was blowing the containers into the swimming pool, so they'd have to fish them out and then start the comp over again. Apparently, they originally were supposed to be stacking more than just 50 containers, but the rules got changed because the wind was creating issues and everything else. So, yeah, we'll never see the raw feeds, but it sounds like they taken a little bit longer than we thought and a little bit tougher than we first envisioned. Kyle's also talking about the backyard, just how bad the food was, how there were ants everywhere, just generally complaining about what they just spent the last week with. All right, we've got Taylor and Turner talking. Taylor, again, saying that she feels kind of sad that Joseph's gone. But the important part of this conversation and it was a brief one, but she asks Turner, she says, look, are the leftovers still a thing? And Turner says, yeah, of course they are. Sure they are. Are they? Are they? Or is it the after party alliance that takes priority at this point in time? We don't know yet. We'll find out. All right, we do have a family dinner of spaghetti. Everyone seems in good spirits. At one point, the insiders were going to cook pasta and have it all waiting for the outsiders when they came in. And those plans fell by the wayside, but they do finally have a spaghetti dinner together, and everyone seems to be doing well. They're talking again about how miserable it was outside, how they were building covers to protect them from the sun, how the ants were everywhere. Ants must have been miserable out there. They're talking about states and cities. They're talking about the last HOH competition that Michael and Terrence won and how close some of the rounds were. Not a lot of strategic talk, but just generally catching up with each other. All right, we've got in the storage room, Michael and Brittany and Kyle talking. They're saying, I think this is Michael, says that Terrence had mentioned at one point that he knew about the Five Swatters or found out about the Five Swatters and other alliances. And they're like, what does that mean? Kyle's saying, though, look, we should be good unless Joseph spilled the beans. Remember, planting those seeds. He's saying, unless Joseph spilled the beans, we should be good. I can't see that being a problem. He says, especially with Turner's HOH, it really doesn't even matter if Terrence and Alyssa know about the leftovers because Turner's HOH, we're good, right, guys? Right? Again, Kyle continually mentioning that maybe Joseph said something. Who knows? Kyle's also talking. Now this is just think about this for a second. If you're ever going to go on Big Brother, Kyle's talking about the fact that he's been watching people play Chinese checkers and that he can kind of feel how they play the Big Brother game based on how they play Chinese checkers. That Taylor takes very calculated risk, that Terrence doesn't really plan anything out, that he doesn't even take the obvious moves. He's just very reactive, doing whatever just shows up first. And so he's trying to tie in how people play board games to how they're playing the Big Brother game. I did the same thing. I could tell based on people playing backgammon and chess, kind of how they were with the game itself. So don't think that there's ever anything that's just pure entertainment. Someone is always paying attention when you're inside that house. So he's talking about the Chinese checkers. They're asking Kyle, saying, why did Terrence do this? Why did he put Turner and Joseph up and then take Turner down and put you up? What all was going on with that? And Kyle's saying, look, I think he's just trying to just shake things up. He had power, so he wanted to make as many waves as he could. He's just trying to shake things up. I think that was what he was doing at this point in time. So Kyle, at this point now, is talking to, and again, this is Michael and Brittany in there. He's saying, look, I feel pretty good right now about our position in the game. I'm feeling good with me and Alyssa and you, Brittany, and you, Michael, and Turner's HOH. That's 5 of us. We've got an alliance of 5. We should be able to coast through the rest of the game, right? Right? So this alliance has been mentioned before, and it's being brought up again at this point in time. Kyle's wanting to make sure that Brittany and Michael are on board for this alliance, whether it's a true alliance or not. All right, after Kyle leaves, Michael's talking to Brittany and saying, look, this is why I said earlier that saying, look, Turner said you and I are both safe, Brittany. I think we're going to be okay. But they're wondering, are Alyssa and Terrence really going to be Turner's targets? They're saying that seems too easy. Is he really going to do that, or could we still be the targets? And they're just playing us right now. And they're not convinced 100% either direction. They're worried it could still be them. Michael's talking about the fact that they need to try to keep the target off of him and Brittany. So they want to try to get fingers pointed different directions. So he's saying, look, what if we plant some seeds that Monty and Taylor were very pro Joseph in this house, and we'll make sure that Kyle and Alyssa and Turner know that, so that they're pointing fingers at each other. If they got rid of Joseph and then they find out Monty and Taylor were very pro Joseph, maybe they'll go after them instead of looking at us too long. So Michael wanting to plant some seeds, Michael and Brittany wanting to play the middle and make sure that the other people are going after each other and not going after them. All right, we've got Taylor and Brittany talking a little bit. Again, talking about missing Joseph some. It was now here's the one thing. At one point, the insiders had said, if they come back in the house and Joseph's gone and Alyssa's in there, we're going to have major issues. That's going to just mean that everything's gone to gone to pot, and we got problems. Well, now Brittany and Taylor are talking about it, and Brittany's saying, no, and Taylor as well saying, maybe it's kind of natural. We see how it happened. Maybe it's not as bad as we thought. Obviously Alyssa was going to protect Kyle. Terrence wanted to make waves. He didn't really, he just put them up there, and maybe Joseph getting sent home isn't this huge horrible conspiracy. Maybe it's just Terrence trying to do something, and of course Alyssa's going to protect Kyle. So they're kind of downplaying the issues. They're not acting as concerned as they initially were with it. Taylor mentioning the fact that let's say this first. Brittany mentions at one point, says, yeah, congratulations to Turner. He's our first repeat HOH winner this season. Well, she's kind of forgetting about her old buddy Michael, who's already got 2 HOHs under his belt as well. I don't know if that was an intentional forgetting about him or not, but definitely trying to play up the fact that Turner's a comp beast, and maybe people won't think as much about Michael being comp beast as well. All right, we've got Taylor talking about the fact that she thinks it'll be an easy week. Well, maybe not Taylor. Maybe not Taylor. But she's thinking it'll be an easy week. She's saying, look, just put up Alyssa, put up Terrence, be fine with it, and we'll be good. At this point, then Brittany talking about looking forward, saying, yeah, this week should be good. So they're looking forward. Brittany's mentioning this final four that's been talked about before. It was a final five, but now Joseph's gone. So Brittany's mentioning again this final four of herself and Michael and Taylor and Monty as a final four. All right, keep those four names in mind. All right, we've got Monty and Turner and Brittany talking. Monty's talking about wanting to have some kind of Olympic Games competition this week where they'll play Chinese checkers, cornhole, bumper pool, chess, and checkers, and they'll have one big grand winner. Yeah, we'll see. That could be fun to watch. We'll see if they go through with that. They're talking about what their zings might be. They're figuring it's going to be either this week or the next week. So Zingbot for me was final 7. So yeah, it could be coming up pretty quick. So they're talking about what they think their zings might be. Turner finally around 2:00 or so gets his HOH room. It was a long evening, guys. But Turner gets his HOH room around 2. He did not get a letter from his girlfriend Megan. Instead, he got it from his mom. But he also got a picture of him and Megan at a wedding, a picture of him as a baby, and I think a picture of him on vacation in his van or whatever. So he got a few pictures. Not sure what his music choice was. I missed that conversation, but he's got some music as well. And at that point, we start having a whole lot of one-on-ones. These guys never go to bed. So we're going to go through the one-on-ones very briefly, talk about them, because they're pretty important, some of the conversations that took place. First one, Kyle's first one in with the HOH, probably the longest one-on-one conversation of any of the house guests with Turner. Kyle saying, look, right now, it's kind of 4-on-4. The 4 outsiders, the 4 insiders. But he's saying, but because you won HOH, Turner, if you put up 2 people on the other side, there's 3 of us that have votes. Turner can't vote because he's HOH, but Kyle's saying the other 3 of us can vote. And if you put two of the insiders on the block, well, we control the numbers. Now it's going to be 3 versus 2, so we should be able to control what we do. Turner saying, yeah, no, that would work, but let me bounce some other ideas off you as well. Not that I'm not going to do that. I just want to play out all the options. So Turner saying, look, Monty came to me and asked if the Pound Alliance was still a thing. And Turner saying, I told him, sure, yeah, absolutely. And he's saying, but I'm a little bit worried if Monty's thinking that maybe it's not still a thing. Is that because he's got some other, things going on as well? Just don't know. He's saying, but Monty does seem like he's still interested in the Pound Alliance. So let's think about that a little bit as well. Turner is talking about the HOH competition itself, saying that he really didn't know that he wanted to win it. At one point, he just sat there and held the last can over his stack for a minute or so, deciding whether he wanted it or not, wanting to see if Kyle could win the HOH, but then his stack kept collapsing. Monty was getting close, so Turner eventually decided he didn't want Monty to win, so he went ahead and took the victory, even though he wasn't so sure that he wanted it. So that's how he won HOH. Turner's wondering again if they should stick with the after party alliance that they just formed out in the backyard, or should they try to survive for the next 2 weeks and instead of a 4 versus 4, like Kyle mentioned, stick around for 2 more weeks, and then get a 3 versus 3 scenario. And the 3 versus 3 would be the 3 remaining Pound members, Kyle and Turner and Monty, versus what, Taylor and Brittany and Michael, perhaps, assuming that Terrence and Alyssa went home. So those are the considerations, the scenarios that they're looking at. Now, I got to say, it seems like Kyle is a little more invested in the After Party Alliance and wanting to head that direction, whereas Turner's a little bit more thinking, at least, that they could work with Monty and the leftovers and maybe still stick with that direction. We'll see where it goes from this point on. They are worried, and both of them talk about this. They're worried that this After Party Alliance that they just created last week, the 4 of them, that it really has 2 strong players, and that's Turner and Kyle, and 2 incredibly weak players in Alyssa and Terrence. They aren't giving Terrence any credit for these last 2 comps that he won, because they aren't endurance, they aren't really physical, they aren't mental competitions. They're just kind of some of the silly comps that we have some days. So Terrence didn't get any credit for that. And Turner saying, look, here's the thing. I can't compete in HOH next week. I don't expect Terrence or Alyssa to do anything to win a competition. So it's up to you, Kyle. And if you don't win it, if we take a big shot, now suddenly we've got this powerhouse on the other side. We've got Monty and Taylor and Brittany and Michael. All of them potentially could win something. And we're depending on you, Kyle, at this point in time. So that's Turner's concern, is that they don't have a lot of confidence in half the people of this After Party alliance. But they're also saying, but on the other hand, Terrence and Alyssa aren't threats to us. It's not like they're going to come after us. So, do we go out of our way to take them out of the game right now? Well, that's the conundrum that they've got. That doesn't sound like the right word. That's the issue that they got, the concern they've got. Kyle is worried that Monty and Taylor and Brittany and Michael are already a tight group, whether they take the shot or not. He says, man, these 4 had all week to bond together and get tight. And I'm worried that no matter what we do, they're going to already be a connection and alliance, and we may already be in a lot of trouble. So do we cut our people loose that may have our back, even if they aren't the best competitors? Cut them loose and then face these other 4 that may be bonded together already. Kyle is mentioning that Brittany and Michael are very obviously scrambling, that they obviously are worried about their position in the game. So talking about that a little bit. Turner is thinking that it may be a better path for he and Kyle to use a pound. In other words, bring on Monty and use a pound to get to a final 6 and then fight it all out, as opposed to doing something right now, which easy for Turner to say, since he knows he can't compete for HOH next week, is a vulnerable position. So yeah, Turner maybe doesn't want to make as many waves this week as Kyle is hoping takes place, and Turner and Alyssa for that matter as well. Kyle talking about his relationship with Monty, saying, yeah, I know we're in a pound, but I haven't really talked game with Monty in weeks. I don't know where his head's at. I haven't worked with him that closely. Turner's wondering if maybe they could get Monty on their side, that maybe it doesn't need to be 4 versus 4, that they don't need to be in opposition to Monty. He's saying, what if we said that Joseph told us before he went out the door that Taylor and Brittany and Michael have a final 3 and are very tight with one another and have this final 3 alliance? I think Joseph said that they were tight. I don't remember if he said final 3. Seems like maybe he said that. But Turner's saying, what if we told Monty that? Let Monty know that he's not part of that other group of insiders the way he thinks it is. Could we bring Monty over to our side as a result of that? So it's something they're thinking about. And Kyle's wondering if they can do that as well. All right, different conversation. That one-on-one is over. Terrence comes in. Really not too much to report from the Terrence side. Terrence and Turner, basically Turner says, look, we should be on the same page. We should be good to go, which Terrence is taking as meaning probably go after go after Michael and Brittany. And Turner's not saying anything to make Terrence think that's not the case. So not a lot of conversation at that point with that conversation. Another one-on-one. This is Monty and Taylor talking. So not a one-on-one. I take that back. This is Monty and Taylor down in the bathroom talking. They're wondering why Terrence would put up Turner and then pull him down, replace him with Kyle. Just not saying it doesn't make a lot of logical sense. And Monty's wondering, saying, did maybe he put Kyle up, but then he put Turner up, but then he pulled him off and put Kyle up just for optics, just to make it look less obvious that the four of them are working together, that Kyle's working with Terrence. Could there be some kind of smoke screen going on? Pretty insightful observation from Monty saying that. They are wondering why Kyle keeps going on and on about, I don't know if Joseph said something or not. They say it's just weird that he keeps harping on whether or not Joseph spilled anything about the leftovers. So they realize there's some things they're missing information wise. All right, Michael comes in, joins the conversation down in the bathroom, and he's kind of rehashing the conversation he had with Alyssa, but nothing huge. Michael is also telling them, saying, look, I just can't picture a situation where Kyle and Terrence would ever be on the same side together. Well, what's that about strange bedmates, politicians, everything? Yeah, they're working together at least a little bit, but Michael can't picture that. Taylor's talking about if it is Alyssa and Terrence on the block together, who would she prefer to go? And she's saying, look, I'm happy to get Terrence out this week. That works for me. All right, we've got Brittany and Turner now doing a one-on-one. We'll get through this quick, guys. It's a lot of talk going on that. Brittany and Turner talking. Turner's saying that he had to promise people a lot of safety in order to stay alive. In other words, I had to promise Alyssa, I had to promise Terrence that they would be safe if they would just keep me alive and all of that. So he's saying, I just need you to understand, Brittany, I made these promises. He's saying, but I'm not planning to honor those promises. But that also means I'm losing two jury votes because there's going to be two people extremely upset with me. He says, so I'm hoping, Brittany, that me telling you that I'm sacrificing a couple of my jury votes in exchange for that, maybe you won't make me the first to head out the door when it's leftovers only and we're down to the final six. Please keep that in mind. So he's trying to play that side up a little bit. Turner is telling Brittany, saying, look, seems pretty easy. Terrence and Alyssa go up. At that point, they're both non-leftovers. I don't care which one goes home. My work's done. I'll put the two of them up. Let's just see what happens. And Brittany's fine with that. She has no issues with that whatsoever. Meanwhile, while the one-on-ones are going upstairs, cameras cut away. We see Kyle and Alyssa have a pretty serious smooch session down in the Jetsons' bedroom for just a minute or two. Feeds cut away again. Just thought I'd throw that in there. All right, we got Turner and Monty talking. Another one-on-one session. Turner is saying what we've heard before, that Joseph fell apart at the end of the thing, may have said some things to Terrence and Alyssa, not really sure. But he's also saying, comes back to the conversation he had with Kyle. Turner's telling Monty that Joseph had said that Taylor had approached him while they were chained together about a Final Four alliance that would have been Taylor and Joseph and Michael and Brittany. So again, trying to get Monty in opposition against Michael and Brittany to hear this news. So Turner's kind of feeding that story over to Monty. Monty is coming right back and jumping all over this conversation. He said, man, I'm so glad you said that, bro, because I heard the same thing, but I didn't want to really say anything. But if you're telling me Joseph said that, it makes me feel better. Monty's saying that Michael and Brittany had been talking about getting Alyssa out, but also he was hearing that maybe Brittany and Kyle were, or Brittany and Michael were talking to Kyle differently in private than they were as part of the big group around the pool table last week, and that maybe they were mentioning Monty's name. So Monty's not feeling real comfortable with Michael and Brittany either. And back to this alliance, the fact that Joseph had mentioned it to Turner, supposedly, Monty's saying, look, Michael and Brittany and Taylor all mentioned an alliance to me this week. He said they didn't say anything before, so obviously it was Joseph before, but now with me in the house and then thinking Joseph maybe was going to be gone, yeah, Turner, they said the same thing to me. They want me in this alliance of four, Michael, Brittany, Taylor, and myself. And he says they spent a lot of time talking about Kyle. Not so much you, Turner, but a lot of time wanting to get Kyle out, which they did. And he's saying that if they have their way, those other three, Turner, they want you and Kyle out as the first two targets once we're down to just the leftovers, just so you know. So Monty's kind of spilling the beans on his thinking during this conversation with Turner. Monty is suggesting that maybe they put up Alyssa and Terrence as the first targets just purely for show. No one's going to get offended. No one's going to get upset. Everyone's going to feel very comfortable if Turner puts those two up and sends one of them home. He says, then next week, we send the other non-leftover outdoors out the house to the jury. So the six of us stay strong. Everyone's going to feel very comfortable. He says, at that point now, Turner, you and me and Kyle, the pound, will all probably be able to play for HOH. We've got a good chance of winning it. At that point, we can now go after the other three. So Monty's kind of proposing the same thing that Kyle and Turner talked about a little bit earlier, about instead of a 4 versus 4 this week, maybe go with a 3 versus 3 in 2 weeks' time instead. That may happen. I'm really curious to see how this plays out. All right, finally, so much going on last night. Finally, Michael and Turner are talking. Turner's telling Michael, saying, "Yeah, leftovers till the end. I'm all on board with the leftovers." Lots of the same conversation he had with Brittany, saying, I promise people safety. They're going to be upset. I'm going to lose some jury votes, so please, I hope you keep that in mind. Same conversation as before. Michael's telling Turner, saying, look, if it's Alyssa and Terrence, they're both on the block, I don't care who goes home. I really don't care at all. So, in fact, Michael says, I know that you put your game on the line. If you promise people safety and then you don't keep them safe, that gives you a little extra credit or priority in determining which of those two goes first. So Michael says, I'll do whatever you want to do. Whichever one you want gone, done. We'll make it happen. Michael's just happy that there's talk about it being Alyssa and Terrence instead of himself and Brittany. So Michael's feeling okay with that. All right, finally, we've got Taylor talking to Turner on her one-on-one. Turner's saying, look, Terrence put Taylor's asking questions, saying, why did Terrence put y'all up the way he did? Why did he put you up, then pull you off and put Kyle up? And Turner's saying, look, I think Terrence put all three of us up just as a way so that all of us would be on the block at one point, as a way to get information from everyone. He put me up, tried to get info, then he pulled me off, put Kyle up to try to get info from Kyle. He said, I think Terrence was just doing it just to get as much information as he could. That was his thinking. In other words, it wasn't part of some big alliance the four of us have. It's Terrence against everyone else, just trying to figure out what he can. So he mentions that. Taylor says kind of the same thing that she mentioned to Monty and Michael downstairs in the bathroom. She says, it's whatever you want to do, Turner, but if Terrence and Alyssa are on the block, she says, I'd probably pick Terrence to go home before Alyssa, but again, it's your HOH. I'm fine with whichever, but yeah, personally, maybe it would be Terrence. So we've got that. Gosh, so many one-on-ones. Finally, Turner talking to the cameras about, 6 o'clock or so, Big Brother time, 8 o'clock Houston time. I thought he was going to have some big strategy, wrap this all up, tell us what he's actually thinking. No, he didn't. It was just goodbye messages to family, song recommendations, and all that. So with all the conversations, I don't know what's going to happen with the nominations today. Is Turner going to take the easy path, put up Alyssa and Terrence, and kind of maybe burn some bridges with the after party alliance? Or is he going to go ahead and make a big shot, go after Michael and Brittany instead? I'm kind of thinking he's going to go the easy route. I will not be surprised if it's Terrence and Alyssa on the block. Now, he may tell them that he's got a backdoor target, and he may try to justify it somehow, but I have a feeling that he's worried enough about not being able to play HOH next week that he may be going the easy way and keep everyone else happy in the house. Just my guess. We'll see if that's the case or not, because we should have nominations today. Man, a long night, but interesting, exciting. It's going to be fun watching to see Turner, how he handles this HOH. And I will be back tomorrow to give y'all a recap, let you know what happened overnight, let you know what happened in the nominations. It'll be a much more clear picture once we see some actual actions taking place. So I'm excited for tonight. Guys, y'all have a fantastic Friday. Get ready for the weekend. I will talk to y'all again tomorrow morning. Until then, SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Bye.